Okay, this says square root of 24 divided by the square root of 3. Now, you could go through, like I was showing, don't write this yet. You could go through and do square root of 3 over the square root of 3. You could do that. But one of the things that if you notice this, 24 splits up as 8 and 3. Right? So underneath here is the square root of 3. You can cross these out right here. They make 1, they go away. So now I have square root of 8. And how can I simplify that? 4 and 2. 4 splits up as 2 and 2. So I have the square root of 2 times 2 times 2. Well, I've got a partner right there. So it becomes 2 square root of 2. That is the simplified form. Yes, ma'am. If the top and the bottom were both perfect squares, like square root of 4 over the square root of 9, just take the square root of 4 and make it 2. Take the square root of 9 and make it 3, and that's your answer. Okay? So if they're perfect squares, it makes it easier. Okay, now, looking at this, I know that there's a number that goes both into 14 and 35. It is 7. I'm going to split it up as the square root of 7 times the square root of 2 over the square root of 7 times the square root of 5. You don't have to do it this way, but I'm looking at this I'm trying to make the number smaller. Well, 7 divided by square root of 7 divided by square root of 7 is 1. That goes away. So now I have square root of 2 over the square root of 5. Problem is we still can't have a square root of 5. Okay? So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to multiply by the square root of 5 and the square root of 5. Now, 2 times 5 is 10. This is the square root of 10 over 5. And that's your answer. Okay, let's try 2 more. Here's 2 more. Well, I see this says the square root of 12. I think it'll simplify a little bit. What if I did this? Square root of 12 becomes 4 times 3, right? So I've got 2 and then square root of 4 times the square root of 3. What's the square root of 4? 2. So I've got 2 over 2 square root of 3. Right? What's 2 divided by 2? Well, 1. So now I've got 1 square root of 3. Well, I still can't have this down here. So what do I need to do? Multiply by the square root of 3 by the top and the bottom. 1 times the square root of 3 is the square root of 3. When you multiply the 2 square roots, it just becomes 3. Okay? Number 4. Well, let's see. Let me try and get 20 a little bit more simplified. 20 splits up as 4 and 5. So I've got 25 up top. I've got the square root of 4 times the square root of 5. What's the square root of 4? 2. So I've got 25 over 2 square root of 5. Well, 25 divided by 2 doesn't go in evenly, does it? No. So I'm still going to leave 25 over 2, but I got to get rid of that square root of 5. So to get rid of the square root of 5, I'm just going to multiply the top and the bottom by the square root of 5. Now the top becomes 25 square root of 5 over, well, what is this? Square root of 5 times the square root of 5 is what? It's just 5. No, just 5. So then you take 5 times 2, and you get 10. Okay? You could reduce that because a 5 goes into both of them, right? Which if you divided each by 5, it would be 5 square root of 5 over 2. One of the things you're going to have to find is you're going to have to be able to find GCFs, okay, and know your factors. Here's I think the last two, yeah. Here's the last two. Let's start right over here. Look at the whole numbers first. Can those divide out? What's 18 divided by 3? What's that? It is 6. So this becomes 6 over square root of 2. I have to get rid of the square root of 2. So you're going to multiply the top and the bottom by the square root of 2. So the top becomes 6 square root of 2 over, when this happens, it just becomes 2. What is 6 divided by 2? That's your answer. Looking at number 6. Looking at number 6. There's no whole numbers to divide out. Both of these are as low as they can go. It's not the answer because you have a square root sign in the bottom. Multiply the square root by the square root of 5 like this, because we've got to get it moved to the top. We started down from the bottom, now we're here. Just kidding. Okay, look. 5, 15. Now, square root. Underneath the square root sign is 3 times 5. That's 15. Over. Square root of 5 and square root of 5 is 5. Now I can divide, right? 15 divided by 5 is 3 square root of 15. That's your simplified version.